Hello, this is Dread from Epic Builds. In today's video topic, I have a treat for you. So recently, a friend of mine, he's actually been showcased on the channel before, Tunk, who's the owner of Tunk Labs, he made a Necromancer build. Now, this Necromancer build is currently sitting at 1001 waves in Arena. I'm sure he just quit Arena because he got bored. But this build is maximum degeneracy. That's the best way to put it. So, just as a forewarning, everything in this video will probably get nerfed in some way or another. So have fun with it while you can. So the idea is he's utilizing Dreadshade Taunt with Bone Golem with maximum minion health scaling, so that all the enemies will go and attack his his Dread-Shaded Bone Golem, so that his archers and cryomancers have time to kill the rest of the enemies. Now he's going crit monolith, he's going crit projectile skeletons pretty much the same build that I made recently. And then for the golem, he's going for the retaliate version, kind of like the other build I went earlier. So this is kind of like a combo between the retaliate golem and obviously the projectile necromancer. Now, this build is absolutely amazing for Arena. It is literally built for Arena with the Dreadshade Taunt. It's decent at Monolith, but its main purpose is to push Arena. Now, this build is also very expensive. He has a lot of expensive things, like the new set that just came out that gives +1 to all minion skill. That's a very insane set. He also has a lot of good gear as well. So if you need a build to play until you can play this build, I will link down below my Retaliate Golem-mancer. It's like this version. It's like this build, but a lot less arena focused. It's much cheaper as well. Well, this build is pretty much what that build would turn into if you wanted to push arena. So, like I said, the idea is you taunt your golem, you attack with the new with your archers and your mages, and you also utilize the insane amounts of ward gain on zombies recently that you guys saw. Obviously, that will probably get nerfed as well, so we'll worry about that when we get there. So like I said, multiple parts of this build will get nerfed, so please do not be sad if it does, because this kind of degeneracy is insane. Like, he's literally just sat there with Bone Golem Dread-Shaded Taunted for like 1000 waves, man. That's a lot of patience and like determination. So with that being said, that's good enough for the intro. Let's get into the build, shall we? All right, here we are in browser here. Just as a confirmation to show you guys, yes, he is Arena 1001 waves. Tunk Rises, #1. I will be honest, this is the best meta we've ever had. We have a Necromancer, a Druid, and a Blade Dancer at the top, instead of like all just Blade Dancers. So Shatter Daggers did get nerfed, by the way. And this is Earthquake Druid. It will probably end up getting nerfed. He messed around with his skills so that, people wouldn't copy him. But it's the same build, right? Now, we're going to go into the build planner here, as this is not a build I have. It's a build Tunk has, so he gave me a build planner, which will be down in the description. Also, there will be a link to a forum guide, where it is a written guide where he goes over the more specific things with the build, and I'll let you guys read that before you come back here. Now, the first skill is Dreadshade. This is the most important piece. Now, we take 3 points travel into Lingering Doom, 1 point into Pernicious Pack. What this does is it turns health decay into poison, which can be resisted by poison res. So it's why you actually give your minions poison, which is very important later. So Dreadshade never ends up actually killing your golem. 1 point into Egoism, so that the minion always crits, but it adds a cooldown. So you need to be careful about when you cast it. And then 1 point into Deadlock. Dreadshade now taunts the targeted minion, making it so the Bone Golem can't move, and it causes it to taunt enemies around it. This is a very strong taunt. It's very, very, very strong taunt, This is probably one of the things that are going to get nerfed with this build, just so you guys know. Now, what's really strong is you'll place it on the Bone Golem. You'll taunt him. And since the Bone Golem is Retaliate Golem, any melee minions or any enemies will walk up to him and kill themselves. And for ranged enemies, they'll stay aggroed on him and stuff like that. It doesn't work versus some mobs like the Void Terrors. They will still send like secondary projectile attacks to you and stuff like that. So you do have to be a little bit careful. But this node pretty much makes it so you get ignored, and so do your minions, so they can do the work and kill the enemies. Then we take 1 point into Spectral Distance. Dreadshade affects a larger area, but buffs minions outside of the area instead. This is very important as it gives all of your allies buffs instead of your Bone Golem itself. Now, why that's important is because it gives all your other minions all the buffs so that while they're outside of the area, which they always will be if you play the build correctly, because you can move them. Because the best thing about the root here is since it's a root, it roots the Bone Golem in place so that you can move all your other minions freely without having to worry about your taunt wall being moved, right? So you can always stay outside of the area, and everything outside of the area gets buffed instead of inside, which is absolutely insane for this build. Then it takes 2 points travel into Spectral Distance. You don't want an area at all, so this is just simply for travel. 4 points into Grim Fate for 60% more damage and more area, but since it's giving you a bunch of damage, you obviously want this. Then 1 point into Symbiotic Apparition, as you and your allies are affected by Dreadshade's aura. This is very important so that you get affected by Dreadshade's aura as well, which we'll get into in a second here. Then 3 points into Dying Coven for the attack and cast speed, so your mages and your archers get a boosted amount of attack and cast speed, as well as the damage. 2 points into Flesh Harvest, so as your Bone Golem takes damage, Dreadshade's effect gets stronger. So it's insane. Like, this node's insane. This is what makes Dreadshade insane for damage, by the way. 1 point travel into Dread Plague. This node is useless. He's just doing it because he has to take 2 points to get here instead. And then 1 point into Martyrdom. So Dreadshade now grants minions armor based on intelligence, but Dreadshade decays on your minions faster. Now, armor was buffed in this patch 8.2, and it is significantly better than it ever has been, and it's actually worth running armor. His build actually runs about 90 intelligence, I believe. That's a lot of armor, and then you get a lot of increased armor on top of that on your gear, which will increase the armor from this and makes you very, very tanky. Now, the second skill that's important is Bone Golem. So he takes 5 points into Amalgam of Mages, so he has 100% more damage with his Bone. Retaliate Nova. 5 points into Bone Hail, so for more Bone Golem chance, so when he gets hit, there's more chance that he actually retaliates and more damage. Then 1 point into Flight of the Femurs, so that they always pierce and have more range. He does not grab Betrayal because he's not actually proccing it himself. The enemies are proccing it this time around, so there's no point in him grabbing this node. Then he grabs 5 points into Amalgam of Sentinels for the 75% more health and armor. 4 points into Tower of Bones for the size and the threat generated. This stacks on top of the taunt, making it even more irresistible for targets to attack. And then he grabs 2 points into Amalgam of Primalists. Your Golem grants additional armor to nearby minions, including itself. Like I said, armor is a lot better with this patch. And these are just the last 2 nodes he grabs, because you don't want to grab like the increased movement speed to nearby minions, because your minions aren't supposed to be nearby your Bone Golem, as you're supposed to keep them away. Now, for other minions, he does run Mages. Mages are important as this is a lot of your damage. Cryomancers were nerfed. They no longer shotgun, but they still do enough damage. He does explain why he goes Cryomancers over Pyros. Pyros have a less attack rate, but better base damage, while Cryos have better attack rate, but less base damage. But it's okay, as his setup is built around Cryos instead of Pyros. He takes 5 points into Gravetide for the adaptive spell damage, so his spells deal more damage. 1 point into Cryomancer, so they adds Cryomancers to the pool. 1 point into Frost Lich, so he gets a little bit increased damage and it removes all the other kinds of mages from the pool. 4 points into Splintered Dominion, so that there's more projectiles. 3 points into the attack and cast speed, then 1 point into the Odyssey and Frenzy, so that they always have a chance of giving themselves Frenzy. 5 points into Cellar Mortis for the base critical strike chance, 1 point into Order of Death, so you have an extra one, and then 3 points into Grey Merchant. This is actually how they sustain themselves, as they are always critting because of his gear. Then we have Skeletons here. 5 points into Necrotic Conviction, so that he gets more archer damage. 1 point into Hollow Walker, so he has an extra 1. 5 points into Sweeping Strikes, so for 60% more damage. 2 points travel into Unbound Necromancy. 1 point into Gravewalkers for an extra minion. 5 points into Unholy Rage for increased attack and cast speed and movement speed. 1 point to Marrowwalkers for another extra skeleton. 1 point into Lone Guardian Travel, so he can get to Mightier Than the Sword, so it removes warriors from the pool. That's pretty much his archer setup. He's not going for the additional projectile setup because, like I said, he has plenty of time to kill enemies. So he does not need the area from these. He actually just needs a single target because single target enemies will take the longest, right? Then, of course, oh, by the way, Arena has gotten easier this patch as well because they removed a lot of the projectile enemies. So that's partly why this build is doing so well as well. Now, with the last skill, he's using Volatile Zombie. So he was playing this build before this patch, and he added this to this patch. The main reason he's using Volatile Zombies is mainly for, where is it? I think it's this node? What's the node that's giving him ward? Oh, no. He's making it so the zombies die and give him a bunch of ward. So he's doing the cooldown version where you get like 3 zombies per cast, and he's pretty much just spamming them. This tree, I'm not... here it is. You get the 3% max health as ward. That's where he's getting all of his ward. I remember. I haven't really messed with this version of zombies much. This is probably another thing that will get nerfed, just so you know. So don't be too crazy on this. This will probably get nerfed too. This whole build's probably going to get nerfed, by the way. So just so you know. Now that's it for the skills. Now for the passives, we have 8 points into Intelligence and Necrotic Res, because Intelligence is very important for this build. 5 points into Dark Rituals for attack and cast speed for your minions. 7 points into Stolen Vitality for the minion HP. And then 1 point into Soul Aegis. So this gives you 300 additional minion armor, which is actually useful now because of the armor buffs. Amazing, right? Then for this, he takes 10 points into the Intelligence, as he wants as much intelligence as possible. Then 1 point travel into Elixir of Hunger. I think it's just travel. 5 points into Grave Thorns for increased health. 3 points into Cursed Blood for increased damage for travel, so he gets the minion armor shred chance. This will allow his minions to all armor shred, which will increase his damage DPS. 1 point travel into Blood Armor. 10 points into Mortal Tether for increased health, as you want as much health as possible, because as you scale your minion health, your zombies get more damage, and you get more health, and you get more ward, right? Same thing with your Bone Golem. You want more health with your Bone Golem, because that's longer it can survive against the onslaught of enemies that it will endure. 1 point into Unbound Necromancy for extra skeletons. 1 point travel into Frantic Summons. 5 points into River of Bones for crit chance and crit as heal, so that your Bone Golem actually heals himself from the taunt, from the retaliate, right, as they hit him. So that's insane. 10 points into Heresy for Intelligence. Like I said, Intelligence is very important for this build. 10 points into Blades of the Forlorn for minion chill chance, so you actually chill enemies. Then 10 points into Moonlight Pyre for flat damage for all your minions. 10 points into Rite of Undeath for extra res and damage. 1 point into Disciples of Necromancy for more minions and for more mages. 4 points into Tyrant for increased health and reduced minion health. This is for you mainly, and also as well he had a few extra points, it seems. Then 2 points into Tyrant's Legion, so that he has more skeletons. His skeletons are never getting hit, so he doesn't really care about reducing their health. Then 4 points into Cling to Life for a little bit more minion res. And that's pretty much it for the passes. Pretty simple Necromancer tree. Now for idols, he's running increased health, chance for mark for death. You only need 1 against single target. Crit chance, HP, crit chance, HP, crit chance, HP, random idol, then base crit chance and HP, right? Just a bunch of crit chance, a bunch of HP. For his helmet, he's running intelligence, HP, health, increased armor. The reason why he's running increased armor here is the base that Dreadshade gives you with that one node, the 25 per intelligence, that will get multiplied by all of your increased armor. So I think he's sitting at a large amount of armor in game. I don't know the exact number. He's running an Omnis. You don't technically need an Omnis, but he's just showing it off, obviously, right? Gotta show off what you get, you know? Then he's running Cynthia's set. So the reason why he's running Cynthia's set, the main reason why he's running it is because he gets +1 to minion skills as the set bonus, so you can put more points into more things. He also runs it for the extra resistances, right? The increased block effectiveness and the resistance for minions, which is important because the more resistances for your minions, the tougher they are, and the tougher your bone golem is, and the less damage it takes from the self-poison from Dreadshade. Then his shield is just a bunch of minion critical strike avoidance, which is really good for your golem because your golem never gets crit, right? Increased minion health and block chance. So this is an actually halfway decent amount of block as well. He's sitting about like 38% chance to block and some block mitigation. Since he's sitting at like 3k ward all the time, this block actually helps him significantly. Then for his chest, he's running increased armor, increased health, intelligence, and base crit and endurance chest plate. Like I said, imagine that. Just buffing armor just by a little bit makes it viable. You know, amazing concept. Just buff it by a little bit, you know, now it's good. Not too good. It's actually pretty balanced, in my opinion. Now, Death Rattle has been nerfed, so instead of rerunning Death Rattle, he's going to run turquoise rings instead with that one node in the Necromancer tree, giving him 70% crit multi. This is a better trade-off for him because the implicits on rings aren't usable, while he'd rather be using an Omnis for the plus to minion skills. It's like a fucking PoE minion build with all these plus to minion skills, right? Now, increased health, intelligence, block chance, health. Wow, that's a shitty ring. Shame on you, Tunk, for not having perfect gear. No, I'm joking. Intelligence, health, and block chance, obviously. For the belt, increased minion health, increased minion damage, health. That flat health, I don't know if that should be increased health or if that should be flat health. I'm going to assume that should be increased health, but he just didn't have it, which is fine. For the gloves, he's running the Void Res set for health, intelligence, crit strike avoidance, because you need to be able to avoid crit strikes too, and hybrid health. Boots, intelligence, movement speed, hybrid, armor. Like I said, armor is insane this patch. Intelligence, +2 to Skeletal Mages for the more levels, increased minion damage on that, and then the base is very important as this is a very good base for minion builds, and then HP and endurance. As you can tell, he is capped on endurance, and he has a lot of ward retention as well because of the intelligence, which is stacking his ward retention, which is making it so when the zombies give him ward, it stays there for longer. It's very strong. Then for blessings, health, ward per second, critical strike avoidance, this is how he's capping it. Armor, wow, he must have rolled this after the patch. Wow, he actually farmed that. By the way, this is imported from in-game, by the way. This is not like made specially. This is Tunk. Tunk plays this game a lot. He loves minion builds. He actually grinded increased armor blessing because it was that strong this patch. What the heck? That's insane. And then increased minion damage as well. This is very important as well. That's a lot of increased minion damage. As you can tell, a very tanky build, and this will probably get nerfed. So have fun with it while you can, guys. With that being said, thank you all for watching, and have a wonderful rest of your day wherever you're at, and bye!